good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on this panel about luxury and technology. Super hot topic at the moment. And we'll start the panel by asking each of the panelists to do a quick introduction of themselves. We'll start with Mr. Raj over there.
So, hi everyone, this is Abhishek. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for brand Lacoste in India. We are running this brand in India for good about 28 years now. And so far our journey has been that we have been able to establish ourselves as bridge to luxury brand in India. And I would say so far, so good.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Nitya Arora, the founder of Valliyan Jewelry. I started the brand in 2008 at the age of 20. 10 years later, I decided that I needed to grow personally and creatively. So I also started consulting luxury brands in design and development. So yeah, I'm a consultant and I recently started a clothing line called Malai. I just can't get enough of creating things. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Nitya.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm glad to have you here, Nitya and Abhishek. My name is Shuchita. I'm the Chief Business Officer at Shantanu Nikhil, which is now part of the Aditya Birla Group. Well, I've very proud to say I've been able to nurture new-to-market brands. Shantanu Nikhil Pret line launched during the pandemic, and we've had some very, very amazing response to this brand. My experience lies with bringing brands like Ralph Lauren, Ted Baker, and a couple of other international brands into the market. Love this industry, wouldn't know what else I would do if not here. So very proud to be part of the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Shuchita. Is it? Hello? Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Sharrom Yezdegardi. I work at Adobe, and in a very specific division at Adobe, it's called the 3D and Immersive division, which came about through the acquisition of a French company 2 years ago in 2019. We make software, as Adobe does, and our softwares are used by product designers, the 3D softwares, product designers to create products, and by marketers to create content at the same time. So happy to be here on this beautiful panel. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will have a lot of questions for you, shining a lot of light in terms of technology and luxury for us. Let's start diving right into the topic in terms of the buzz that's being created right now and what the media is linking so much to the pandemic. From my point of view, I think the luxury sector was already innovating, was already looking into digital transformation pre-pandemic. How do you feel about this?
So I'll start with this. Yes, you are right, as in the industry was actually looking for some digitization before pandemic also. So it's been a long time that people started selling online also. And that was the time as business what we understood that online and offline are the two channels which are going to coexist together. And this is not this or that, but it is going to be this and that is what we believed. 2019, everybody was looking into and was investing into this. It's only the blip, I would say, that we got in 2020 when actually our stores were closed and we all had been forcefully got into this of digitization, and this overall things actually got the push. But one thing, as we were discussing before this, for luxury, if I talk about luxury is indulgence. It's not about that you sit on a lakh rupee computer and you buy luxury and then you can save it. Luxury is unless you go and you touch and feel, you don't indulge to it, you don't like luxury. So luxury is that indulgence, and as speaking yesterday, as we were all discussing, malls have already reached to 100% level, and all the brands, you talk to any brand in the industry, everybody is doing, be it good, be it a mass brand or a bridge to premium or the luxury brand. So overall, I think everything is coming back to normal. Yes, during these 2 years' time, we all saw a lot of attention and investment that's been gone into digitizing the brand. And all these mediums are actually to assist the customer to buy more and to make their life easy. That's how we see this.
Thank you. Nitya, in terms of Gen Z, a new gen designer who probably is so much more versed with digital technology, how did your business change?
You know, in the pandemic, I saw that a lot of my contemporaries and like people in the industry started moving online. But Valliyan had its e-shop in 2013 up and running. So I was already like very well versed with selling online. And I think luxury in general, especially, you know, with the Indian designer brands, at least in my experience, I got a call in 2011 from Purnia saying I'm starting, you know, a multi-brand online retail store. There were just 10 or 12 brands on there. There was Abu Sandeep, and there was only Amrapali and me were the two, you know, jewelry brands on there. And it was a very well-curated, tight 10, 12 luxury brands. And it did really, really well. And so after that, I've only seen like growth in the online segment when it comes to luxury retail. I mean, Nykaa, of course, Nykaa Fashion and Nykaa Design is a more recent player. But I think they're doing extremely well as well. And I think that was pre-pandemic, no? Nykaa also came in pre-pandemic. So I think that I've seen a lot of online luxury retail taking place before the pandemic, but I do believe that, you know, a lot of retail stores moved online just in 2019 or 2020.
2020. Yeah. Thank you. How about Aditya, Birla? I mean, we were talking about the show yesterday, Shantanu and Nikhil, and I was saying I would like to touch and feel and wear it in person, right? How did that change in terms of pre-pandemic for you?
So I think I'll take you back to a little before I joined Aditya Birla, Shantanu Nikhil business. I was working for this brand called The Collective, which is India's only luxury international brand platform. And I think it was somewhere in 2018 or a little earlier where we started our own website, wanted to make the brand more accessible outside of brick and mortar retail. And we said we need our own website because the brands that we were dealing with, they all had their own, you know, brand.coms, selling on Matches Fashion and other online platforms. And we said in India, who is going to buy luxury online? And to come to your question, does digital or any form of digital get accepted in India or whether it's needed? To our surprise, I think in 2 years from when we went online, we were shipping to almost 250 small towns, big towns across India. But today, I think everybody here will agree the growth in retail online business has almost fast-forwarded itself. We are 5 years ahead of any retailer who would have planned to be where they would be with their .com business. And that's the power, I think. We would probably say that touch and feel is important, but I think accessibility becomes a very important thing here. And that's where the whole digital versus luxury or any product for the consumer sort of becomes important. With Shantanu Nikhil, I think there's been a sea change. I think pandemic hit us when we were almost entering takeover of the business. We took over in September. Pandemic hit us in March 2020, and we were going to go launch the brand. And April, I remember, we were looking at the business and we said, oh my God, we have no digital touch point of this business. How are we going to survive? And rest is history. We have a very stable online business. We went live online for our consumers in 3 months on a shoestring budget. And it does about 20% of our business today. So I think it's the need of the hour. We were sort of sitting on a cusp, wanting to embrace it, not embrace it. But I think pandemic has just sort of pushed us forward quickly. Yeah.
The word we were using was catalyst, actually. We were forced into moving 5 years ahead. So how about from your perspective in terms of Adobe and digital technology?
Uh, yeah, well, you can't ignore the digital world and, the online space and how that democratizes, just the shopping experience. We had done a user story with INDG, a company that actually helped Puma digitize their shoes. So Puma is a division that creates shoes for motorsports, and they realized that to get people to interact, they didn't just have to create that show in the shoe in 3D, but they then reached out to INDG, a creative agency, who I would say optimized that shoe asset for it to be played in VR, and then Puma was able to link that to their Instagram and create a whole campaign around it, which just skyrocketed with shoes. Selling on this. We've seen similar examples across the industry. Pink is a luxury shirt maker for Louis Vuitton. They've also started digitizing their apparels online, eliminating the need to do photo shoots. So they can really go, and by the way, that's an image. That's not a 2D photographed image. That's a 3D render for textile. So today, the whole concept about touch and feel is not possible with the digital world, is not true anymore at all. People really need to adopt this technology to, I would say, create content velocity. And this is another example from the bridal wear. We ran a contest last year, and this is a render made by an Indian guy who works not in apparel and fashion at all. This is a video game designer. He just participated in this contest and he won the first prize globally. Digital workflows are just democratizing the whole game. Right there.
Absolutely. We, as a school as well, we were pushed into adopting digital for design, for sketching, for pattern cutting, and all the tutors actually learned on the job how to use this digital technology to create digital patterns, which, as you were saying before, is not only quick and effective and efficient, but also helps the environment in terms of waste.
Yeah, actually, you have to understand that this Gen Z, this millennial shopper, he or she is extremely conscious. They want ethically sourced products. They want environment-friendly products. Or if it's cosmetics, they don't want it to be tested on too many animals, right? Mm-hmm. And this is, again, where digital technologies really help. When you're doing digital prototyping, there is zero cost of sampling prototyping. There is no time in sending swatches from suppliers to design teams who are then prototyping and sending things back. You're really making 3D digital prototypes that you review, and then you reduce your sampling from, let's say, 100 T-shirts to 5 actual ones for you to make manufacturing decisions. You go to manufacturing, and then we're seeing marketers use the same assets to use in photo shoots, which they're removing traditional photo shoots. They're using this with an avatar in it. They're using the same asset for AR, VR experiences. So you're increasing content velocity. And for this Gen Z shopper, you're directly integrated into Instagram stores and things like that. So yeah, content velocity is the game.
I feel you have something to say to this, Shuchita.
Yeah, Sheikh, you want to add something?
So for me, since I understand, this is a fantastic technology to look at, but we still need to understand how designers are going to use it. For us, since most of our designs are actually not created within India, we source the design from a central library or from the central design team. It's a good technology to really look at, but again, as I mentioned, and still we believe, all these, how it is resulting into manufacturing of the product, until the time customer really touch and feel and proves that particular design that you really want to create within the product, till the time customer is really authenticating it, this is what it is, then your work is not done. You need to really put more technology to it till the time customer approves it.
Quite a mission.
Well, I'm not going to start a debate at this time that there are apparel fashion designers who've done this because it very precisely solves a challenge for them, whether it's in design or in marketing. Again, I come back to the shirt image. When you look at it today, you can really tell that if I had to run my fingers through this fabric, I would feel the emboss, I would feel the weave. That a particular image cannot give you. When you put that image online, if I'm a consumer, I'm going to click on an image. Every time I scale it, it pixelizes. I don't really get that even through the e-commerce portals today. So this is really where 3D digital textures are going to change the game going forward. And the reusability of that asset across channels makes it much easier for marketers as well.
I would say it's quite experimental at the moment, all the new things happening, but then eventually we'll need to look at the whole creative journey and the customer journey and see where it can actually add value, but also where it can actually be, create revenue in terms of a lot of the things is very entertainment focused, would you say, in terms of, for example, I'm jumping questions here, the metaverse, etc. Yes, it's great, it's entertaining, but is it really going to drive sales? What do you think, Shuchita?
It's very difficult to say. I think metaverse is a universe that we don't know yet, right? It will happen, and I think our friend here will bring it to us sooner than we think. Many years ago, we said, what's internet? None of our houses had it. Today, we can't live without it. So I think and Instagram is something that you don't sleep without, right? You always check it before, at least I do, sorry. So I think metaverse will happen to all of us. The intensity of it cannot be described. A lot of business will happen through metaverse. I was reading as prep to come to this panel. I think the same dates as we hold this conference, there is the first metaverse fashion show that's happening,
yes,
which is phenomenal. So the Paris ambiance is recreated digitally for all of us. And ironically, we are having our FDCI fashion event parallelly here in Delhi. So I think times are changing, and I think India, or all of us as the fashion fraternity, will sort of absorb it. There are 3,000 fashion shows that has happened in 3 months in this calendar year. Brands like Burberry, brands like Gucci, back in 21, have already created audiovisual experiences to bring back the customers into their stores digitally. So I think, each retailer will slowly sort of step into it. Talking about 3D, I think it was Nike. Nike's done a phenomenal ad, I think in Japan. And before it was Balenciaga, which did this lovely 3D OH hoarding. It's phenomenal. And I think that's what the new gen needs. I think all this technology is for the newer generation, how they will consume fashion, how they will react. So I think, metaverse will come and business through it will definitely happen.
If I may just add, let's step out of this whole digital world.
Yeah.
Today, in luxury, you have this concept of experiential retail, right? You want a shopper, a consumer to come into your store, and you want to build a kind of experience around them, not necessarily to drive sales, but to drive loyalty and consumer engagement. Even this is not possible without digital content. There's a good example. Nike has the House of Fashion, which is a concept store, but L'Occitane has a flagship store called 555 on the Fifth Avenue in New York, and they have a whole AR, VR, experience over there. You can get into a pod and you can actually take a trip off the Provence region using a hot air balloon. And this is where you're building a bridge to the consumer in the physical world using digital content. So experiences are not possible without content. You need content to drive an experience, and that's literally where companies and brands are going to have to think where they want to shake hands between digital, physical, phygital.
Phygital.
There we go.
Thank you. Nitya.
So I've actually been in both worlds in the sense that I was covering Paris and Milan Fashion Weeks for Verve magazine, and I've been to the physical shows and the resees where after the show there is a showroom where the collection is displayed, and you can go take like a whole detailed tour of the collection and feel, touch, look at things very up close. And obviously during the pandemic, because we couldn't fly to Paris and Milan, they actually, Gucci and LV actually created 3D showrooms for us that we could access on our computers or on our phones, and it was being in the metaverse, right? And somehow that experience, it was really cool, and it was very fascinating that they had created something that was so beautiful and so on brand for, as per their aesthetics and the collection. But like the whole experience of actually being there and looking at the garments on models or on, in person displayed and being able to just like walk around, I think that energy and experience is unmatched. I don't think that the metaverse really does justice to the real world. I mean, I'd rather look at a real tree than look at a tree in the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Moving on to the next question in terms of what happened for your business during the pandemic that was really a shock in terms of consumer behavior and the use of technology. Did you have to upskill the staff on the job? Did you have to implement new technologies? For example, we had students people were coming to us to ask for students who were content creators because suddenly businesses had to create, as you were saying, a lot of digital content. So video editing, photo editing, everything was needed in volume during the pandemic. Any such surprises that affected your business?
The biggest inclusion in our life was Zoom.
Yep.
We really learned as in how to peep into each other's laptop. And see whether the one is working or not. But that's something that actually taught us also as in how can we can remotely manage the operations in this world. And some things that we learned during that time is going to certainly will help us in going to run our operations once this normalcy come back. But yes, of course, initially for a few months, everybody was struggling and the technology as well as the manpower was not available right at the beginning of this. When the stores were closed and you had to sell online, you wanted people to learn these techniques and tools to run it. Fortunately, we have been investing in this from a very long time, and we are not that great fast fashion brand also, wherein you need to change your season too frequently. So for us, it was not that bad, I would say. But yes, we managed to do well. I think. We actually pushed our digital and the e-commerce team during that time to really achieve and align with the company's objective. The best part, we did not sack anybody. We did not do anything. It was the entire team was kept intact together, and we all sailed through it. And probably this March we'll be coming very, very strong, and like all of us.
Great. Anyone else?
Very interesting thing. I was reflecting as you spoke. When pandemic happened, the Zoom or the Teams world was reality to us. And it's very nostalgic. We had 8 stores of Shantanu, Nikhil. And we said, okay, we need to talk to all of them. And I got the retail teams together. And for the first time when we were speaking, we said, okay, get your cameras on, let's look at you, let's have more connect, because you were not able to travel, so you wanted to have everybody together. It was funny, ironic, I don't know what to say, but the team said to each other, wow, we're looking at each other for the first time, these were just mere names, and now we have a face to the name. So that's what the Zoom or the Teams world did to us. And I think there was a lot of compassion. There was a lot of being there for each other. It was really tough 2 years. So, yeah, there were many challenges across the road. For our business, we literally told the designer to also do cataloging, also do sort of campaign shooting. We said, we are on a shoestring budget. Sales aren't happening. We cut down marketing budgets by nearly a fourth. And everything was in-house, and I think we managed to pull it off pretty well. And rest is more to come, I think, as we see. I hope the times don't further give us any surprises. But yeah,
I think I realized, of course, like I have a very small boutique business compared to like, Shantanu, Nikhil, or Lacoste. So it's not even comparable. But I realized that I got very lucky because I had closed my store just like a year or so before. And we were already online. Most of my business is outsourced. We outsource plating to a plating factory that just does plating and or casting and most of my karigars like were in the village. So I think like we really sailed through the pandemic so beautifully because everything, the processes for online sales was already in place. We just sold a lot of our dead stock or older pieces. Instagram sales were doing really well. And yeah, it was a great break and I started a whole new career.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was interesting.
Absolutely. At least it kept us busy and entertained during the pandemic. So in terms of the controversy, because during the pandemic, everybody was saying this is the end of Fashion Week and there's not ever going to be a physical fashion show. And as soon as things reopened, we've seen physical fashion shows and people flocking to physical fashion shows. And right now, the Lakme Fashion Week FD is started this week, and physical shows are happening. People are happy. People are dressed up. People are out and about. So, how much of what happened during the pandemic you think we will keep, and how much do you think we will shred in terms of all of these online practices? At the same time, you mentioned it already. The metaverse Fashion Week is happening, and I'm very surprised to see some leading brands like Paco Rabanne, etc., showing at the Armani, showing in the virtual metaverse Fashion Week. So, any thoughts on that?
Right. Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. The whole digital world is not here to replace the physical world, right? It's going to substitute in some processes where it makes sense, where it makes things easier, where it brings in agility. So it's not here to replace anything. But at the same time, you can't really say, I'm only going to be doing this in the digital world. You need presence both places because your consumer is changing. Again, like I said, the person who was selling to me is now having to sell to my sister who's 18 years younger, who's on Instagram the whole time, who's looking at things over there, who wants to share on social media. So companies and brands are going to have to maintain presence across both worlds. And then again, I come back to 3D. Unlike traditional 2D workflows, it is you're creating an asset once in the product design phase, and you are using that same asset across your chain from design to manufacturing to marketing. And as a marketer, your biggest challenge is creating content for every channel. We can just eliminate all that. Now, I'm not saying you're going to produce in the digital, like you're going to produce materials online. You're going to have to produce them, in the real world. But people are going to have to, again, figure out based on their business models where the risk lies and where the spread lies in the risk.
Yeah, I was reading that article on Dazed yesterday about the metaverse, and the comment at the end said, is it going to be like when everybody thought they could go clubbing on Zoom at the beginning of the pandemic, and then after 2 months realized that it's not at all the same?
The second lockdown, I actually have a virtual reality headset. So I have attended a concert in VR. It was a Major Lazer show that I attended in VR because, look, what was I going to do? I couldn't step out of my house. I was ordering food on Swiggy and I was partying in VR. And it quite helped my mental well-being because I live alone and I could hang out with people in South Africa and UK, and we were actually discussing, are you vaccinated? How are the vaccines rolling out in your country? Oh, for me, I need to click a button. My number's going to come in 8 days. And so technology enables people to connect where, it's a mix of both worlds.
Yep. Sorry?
Sorry, in terms of retail, I think that after the pandemic, yes, like online retail is complementing physical retail, absolutely. But I think what we will see is that physical stores will get more exciting and experiential after the pandemic. I think brands are going to make more of an effort because when people come out and they're visiting a physical store, they they really want a great experience. And I think brands will start pushing boundaries in terms of retail. In fact, recently, just now at Fashion Week, if you go see the Agio Luxe, booth and setup, and you go in there, and earlier, like retail in India, even the window displays and the VM was so poor. And it was just so sad to walk into these stores and be like, oh my God, they need help. But I feel like that is really going to change now. I can already see it changing. So yeah, if you're going to be at Fashion Week, do check that booth out to see where the experience of retail, physical retail is really heading.
Retailtainment, right? That's the
Yes.
direction. And I keep referring to that quote by Andy Warhol, who said that museums will become stores and stores will become museums.
That is so true because I'm just actually curating this fashion and lifestyle retail section for
Oops.
for 32nd Avenue
It's
in
like the
Gurgaon.
Oscars.
And that whole retail section, you have to see the stores that are coming up. I mean, you haven't seen that kind of a retail experience in the country. It's really going to be something. And like you said, they're like walking into an art show or like a museum or a gallery because people are trying to create, especially in luxury, works of art.
Yeah. It's more for inspiration rather than push sales, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're learning very fast. I think both retailers, the malls or any high street, I think it's changing itself. It's no longer limited to just product. I think whether it is a store or a retailing environment, we are sort of blending in the whole touch of lifestyle. So food becomes important, entertainment becomes important. And I think I'll agree with you, Nitya. I think it is going to be hybrid. And like what he said, it's not, Sharrom, what you said, it's not going to replace. It's going to just sort of make it more accessible. Like probably only Nitya could go to the Paris Fashion Week. In metaverse, we can all have front row seats. So I think it's a new world and new things will happen. We will learn. And we will adopt quickly, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting the next few
It's
years.
going to be very interesting for sure. Abhishek, are we seeing sorry.
If you ask me, it seems to be very futuristic to me. What my avatar is wearing in metaverse, whether I am getting that product in the store or not, is something which is very, very fashion conscious. Of course, whether we can really replicate that, what my avatar is wearing in metaverse is available at the store, and I'm really able to sell it and make a commercial use of it, is going to be too futuristic at this stage. But the way we graduated from a dial phone to a mobile wallet, the time will come. But at this stage, I think it is too futuristic to tell.
Yeah. Are we seeing a Lacoste NFT soon? Is there something already on there?
I just can't comment at this stage, but yes, of course, if everybody is adapting the technology, one should not say that we will not. And if in case it's a beneficial technology for the customer, for the business, one will certainly look into it and will adapt to it.
Last question, NFTs and luxury fashion, any thoughts?
So
Nitya.
I don't know how many people are aware, but there are already brands that are creating digital garments because the Gen Z and the next generation, the one place where they're really showcasing their fashion sense and their personal style is online and on Instagram. And in order to like reduce wastage and in order to try and make things more eco-friendly, brands are selling these digital garments to these Gen Z Instagrammers where they can literally be just wearing like a bodysuit and then the digital garment attaches itself onto their image. And and that's how they showcase it. So I think that, and they're decently priced. I mean, it's like $150 for, a pair of pants. So, and it's selling. So I think that it's only the beginning.
I think it's going to do really good in terms of helping sustainability. Looking at Europe and fast fashion, a lot of people buy weekly volumes of Zara and, just for the Instagram, just for the gram. But this will hopefully help satisfy this need of new clothing and new posts, etc. So let's see. Nitya? Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Shuchita.
too futuristic. I agree with Abhishek. I think, I don't know how it will change. We have, I think, collectively today, enough clothing to dress the universe for 50 years. That's the amount of clothing we all make collectively around the world. So I think somewhere we owe that to the planet to dress in a, as an avatar and come, at least in the online world. So I think there will be a balance between the old and the new. But it'll be interesting to see how that changes. I don't have to be dressed as Shuchita. I could be dressed as someone else, him, her, they, that. I don't know. Digitally, I could be anyone, right? So it's going to be fun to wait and watch what's going to come. But probably it's somewhere also needed for the Gen X. I think they'll be more fast to adapt this.
Yeah, but I also wonder, I was actually wondering on the plane on the way here, I was like, when an NFT sells for X million and there's one person sitting and designing that NFT versus, say, a lehenga where there's a farmer who's grown the silk or the cotton and then it's gone through so many hands and so many people are involved and so many livelihoods are involved in creating that one garment by hand, and the amount of hours and labor and pain. How do you compare pricing that so much lower than pricing a digital, illustration. So, it's all a bit confusing and it's all a bit hard to wrap your head around at this moment. But I think in time, everything will kind of balance itself out and, hopefully it will.
I think the keyword is hashtag stay tuned. Sharrom.
Just to end on that, so the whole birth of NFTs comes from an individual creator, whether he's creating a photo or video, right? But what it means for brands is really a digital twin of their product. And so what I actually anticipate going forward is going to happen is a brand is going to design a collection which they're probably going to sell online first and then start shipping, the physical products out. NFTs for individual creators, digital twins for brands. And, again, coming back to the first point that till I don't look and feel and that's all going to change. I recently did a case study with Amazon globally. They've actually moved a lot of their product categories to 3D. Where they started with furniture, they then took home gym equipment, they then took home appliances. They've now taken footwear to that. And the reason they do this is because unlike a 2D photograph, a 3D asset can be rotated in every environment. It could be brought into your space using an AR-enabled camera. You can see if the furniture fits. And this ultimately leads in lesser returns. The consumer is making a more informed purchase decision. He's returning less. And this is why leading e-commerce companies all have a virtual strategy, a 3D strategy. Target has it, Amazon has it. And I invite you to look at the Adobe.com metaverse page. We have a strategy to support all our customers to build this new world.
On it. Well, I'd like to thank all the panelists that begin lowering to look into that direction. Thank you so much for your time and contribution, and thank you, the audience, for being with us this afternoon. And happy Fashion Week.